you obviously haven't figured out yet that I can't hear you.
Oh, hang on, you just dropped out of my ear.
Quick parish notice, bit of follow-up from a previous episode. I've forgotten to bring this up before, but do you remember there was an episode where I mentioned that if I had been born a girl, I was going to be called Courtney?
I do.
And you said there was no girl alternative for you because your parents were pretty confident that you were going to be a boy and they were dead set on Tim.
Yes.
But you later texted me and found out there was a girl's name, potentially, and I think we should share that.
Yes, this was quite an admission because all my life, Mum has sort of said, "Oh, we knew we were going to have you, right? And we chose this name, and it was sort of appointed by, God."
Yep.
It was going to happen, but it turns out they hedged their bets a little bit.
Yeah,
with a little bit of hope. Oh, now what was it? I've texted you the name. I've forgotten it. Do you remember the name?
Yeah, you texted it to me, and on the face of it, I thought it was a good name, because I never attached it to your surname. But now that I've attached it to your surname, it doesn't seem such a good choice anymore. Because apparently if you were a girl, you were going to be Heidi Hein.
Heidi Hein, yeah, that's right. I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised. I was like, hey, I like the name Heidi. That's a good name.
Yeah.
I think I like it more than Timothy, actually, to be honest. Yeah.
I like the name Heidi, but I don't know if I like it or not with Hein. Either it's worse or it's genius.
Heidi Hein. There's the H thing can work. It's if you're sounds like you're either a billionaire balloonist. Heidi Hein. Adventure today or something like that, or it just is confusing. Yeah.
I think it sounds like a nickname for a bottom. Oh, he's got a nice little Heidi Hein. Like a tushy.
You've totally undermined it now. That's the. Well, I tell you, I have received compliments.
Well, there you go.
Hi, Heidi. Heidi and Courtney. I think Heidi and Courtney is better than Tim and Brady. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah, God. Yeah, way
goodness
better.
Gracious. Yeah.
So, ideas for a podcast. What do you reckon? Who's going to go first today?
Why don't you go first? Mine comes in at a slightly different tone today, so I think we need to be a little bit more warmed up before we get into mine.
All right. It's always a worry when you need to warm up before a podcast idea, but all right. Could do some more stretches.
I'm the guy who, if it was my job at the newspaper to write headlines, I'd be like, look, here's just a paragraph that you need to read before you read the headline.
Oh, we did Tim's idea too early and I pulled a hamstring.
That's right. Don't want to go out too hard.
All right. So because we are recording in the week of the Super Bowl, I think it was Super Bowl 55, was it? Oh, no, I lose track.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's Super Bowl week, and that means two things. It means my name's all over Twitter for that 1 week of the year where everyone's talking about how great Brady is.
Yes.
The other thing it means is the perennial news story that the media thinks is interesting and novel every year, and that is, did you know there are Super Bowl commercials? So, so my idea for a podcast is called My Super Bowl Commercial.
Ah.
And the premise is you are given a 30-second slot in the Super Bowl for a commercial. What are you going to do with your 30 seconds?
Oh, genius idea. Very good.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I've already been giving it some thought. So while you think about it, I'll tell you a few of the ideas I've had if I was given 30 seconds.
Yes.
First of all, I thought it would be great to run an ad for your new wedding band 2-piece feed, just trying to drum up some business. Just have you and Colonel Katrina there on the keyboard and the guitar, just saying we're available for bookings now.
And doing it like a really cheap advertisement, the Adelaide local store advertisement, just with that one photo and a sort of a bad font. Phone number.
That leads nicely to my second idea for my 30 seconds. I would love to run the original Sofa Shop ad, 4x3 VHS, a bit grainy, with no context, no explanation, just to everyone in America, this 30-second jingle panning over sofas and curtains from the 1980s, and then it's just like gone, and people are like, what the hell was that?
What was
One
that?
minute it was Pepsi and stuff, and then it was KFC and, you know, all these car ads, and then there was just this 30 seconds of grainy 80s Adelaide-ness, and then it's back to gloss again. I think that would be good.
The sofa shop ain't gonna cost what you think it will. Don't you do a thing until you see the sofa shop.
That would be genius, because I think it would be seen as very clever. Look how they've made this look old, sort of, you know, marketing Madison Avenue technique. Ooh, they've gone very, you know, deliberately nostalgic. Look how they've roughed up the footage.
Got Kanye West in to come up with a jingle that sounds like it was from the era.
That's right.
So that would be nice. Oh, I've got plenty more ideas, man. I mean, obviously, it would be great to run a 30-second pitch for people to support the Unmade podcast on Patreon.
Well, that's right. That's right. Although you'd have to say it needs no advertisement. I mean, that would be a waste of advertisement, really, wouldn't it? Because people would be like, oh, here we go, just saying the same thing. Although I have to say, you know, that everyone knows about Coca-Cola, and yet still Coke spend an enormous amount on advertising. So I guess reminding them of the Unmade podcast is probably a better way to put it.
So another idea I had that I thought might be fun would be to create a prank and really elaborately, like, figure out what the two teams are in the Super Bowl and recreate, like, an amazing play, like a touchdown or something that had never happened before that was really incredible, and just start playing that. And people who weren't paying proper attention would think it was the actual game and something amazing was happening in the game.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, so back at the game now, and they suddenly lose time. That's very good.
But also, I thought might just be fun, just, you know, if someone's given 30 seconds, like, you know, a civilian out there, what are you going to do with it? Maybe just, like, run, like, a 30-second TV version of your CV. Just see if you can find that perfect job. So just come on, like, you know, come on here and say, hi, you know, I'm Brady. I know how to use Microsoft Word. I've got a driver's license. You know, I can work a video camera. I like YouTube. If you're looking for someone who's kind of motivated and can afford a 30-second spot in the Super Bowl, I'm your man. Yeah,
and again, just very sort of, you know, 1995 corporate-y looking, you know what I mean, PowerPoint presentation.
Now, as for how you would use your 30 seconds, Tim, I'm inclined to give you a leave pass from anything like, you know, wholesome and relating to your ministry, which is probably how you should use your 30 seconds.
Well, that's right. I tell you what, there is a real tendency towards, you know, the kind of the values and worthy. Like, I know there was one ad this year with Jeep and Bruce Springsteen talking about politically coming together to the, you know, the heart, the middle again of, but it's also undermined by the fact that it's to sell a car, you know, like I really despise the, you know, the worthiness, and then it's done linked to that sort of corporate gain. But you could do worthiness for its own sake. That's a great idea. That's right. That's a philanthropist just putting out a good message. But again, it's placed within that context. It can be received, you know, weirdly. That's for sure. It's like, where's the catch? What's the catch? You know, where does it go? I do warm to the idea of going back and just playing like your favorite ads from when you were a kid, you know, just for your favorite food, just warming, throwing them in. I don't know why they don't do this. I think big companies should play nostalgic ads from years ago. I think there's something quirky, like, you know, KFC or, you know, just playing products at Coke. Like, I think Coke should do a whole campaign where they just play really old 1970s and 80s, you know, kind of Coke ads, you know, where there are people water skiing and jumping out of planes and, you know, all that kind of stuff. I think that
they do that sometimes. Remember that Mellow Yellow ad where that, like, sexy lady was drinking a bottle of Mellow Yellow?
Look out, mouth. Watch out first. This Mellow Yellow's as good as the first.
I'd like an ad for the Garfield Hunger Buster. Remember that Garfield themed ice cream?
No.
It was so short-lived. It had this ad where Garfield was singing about this ice cream called the Garfield Hunger Buster.
You could do it for films as well, you know, like an ad for a new film that's coming out, and it's a film that came out years ago. Particularly films that really bombed, you know, at the cinema. Just come out and play Waterworld by Kevin Costner.
Oh, do you know what they should do? If you want to mix a bit of wholesomeness, like, you know, do some good, but go retro, What about those ads they used to have like in the 80s that were like health, about like the vitamins and brushing your teeth and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I loved the one that where all the vitamins were singing.
I don't remember that specific one. No.
Get out in the sunshine and get vitamin D.
I'm good for your eyes, good for your bones. Here's vitamin E.
Thank you very much, Vitamin D. I'm Vitamin E. I'm good for your corpuscles. Take a lot of me and I'll get into your muscles.
There was a kid and each vitamin was singing to this kid about why it was the best vitamin.
Oh,
it's
good
great.
good eye. In Australia, we had the slip, slop, slap campaign about staying out of the
yes!
sun. Yeah.
Yes.
Slip on a shirt, slop on sunscreen, and slap on a hat just to stay out of the sun.
Slap, slap. Slip on a shirt, slap on sunscreen, and slap on a hat.
Oh, yeah. Now you're talking.
The other idea is to do something, the interference idea as well. Like, I know Andy Kaufman, famous comedian, used to do these sort of pranks on TV where suddenly the TV show would look like it was distorting. So he says, look, people all over America will stand up, go over to their TV and be adjusting their antennas when we had antennas inside, and banging on the top of their TV, and then it will go fine, and then it will go distorted. But it was all planned and written in and not referenced in the show. So you could have a minute of silence. You could just go black and just say, here is a peaceful minute for you to sit quietly without, or just a total interference in the Super Bowl, or a different show starts. That's another idea too. You could suddenly, the credits roll on some sitcom and they're like, hang on. Where's the second half going to be?
Or one of those emergency transmissions the government put out when a nuclear missile's incoming. And then after 30 seconds go, ha ha, gotchas.
People will just assume it's an ad, I'm sure, going, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Some sort of nuclear missile company. Jerry Seinfeld pops up at the end. Get your nuclear missiles from.
Would you buy a nuclear missile if they were available?
Like buy it as in it's the only one. I got to keep it safe under the bed so no one gets it.
No, it'd just be a cool thing to own. Like I'm not in favour of like nuclear weapons and stuff, but the idea of having a nuclear missile is pretty cool.
it's like for intruders.
No, not to use, just because it's cool. Like my lightsaber, like I would never use it, but I just like having it on the shelf.
What do you mean you wouldn't use it? Surely if someone broke it, there's nothing better than confronting like an intruder with holding your lightsaber with a robe on. So,
I'm just picturing a burglar at the bottom of the stairs and me waddling down with a huge nuclear missile going, you get out or I'm going to set this thing off.
That's right. That's right. All right, you've entered the house. So we're at DEFCON 2. And
there's a little guy next to me with a nuclear football giving me the codes.
That's right. In the middle of the night, standing there. I think that's a good idea. What would you do with that particular shot? It is funny how for a week there's a lot of advertisements about the advertisements. Like apparently these advertisements are so precious. We need to be alerted to the fact there are going to be significant advertisements in the Super Bowl. Like we need to be reminded.
It's one of those perennial stories that comes around every 12 months.
Yeah.
It's like, it reminds me how boring the media can be.
Yes, indeed. Did you see any ads in the Super Bowl that
No.
Oh, of course, maybe on your telecast they were different. You didn't see the full.
No, we don't get the American ads. So yeah, when they go to the ads, they just cut to English guys in a studio talking about the game.
Is it funny listening to English gentlemen talk about the Super Bowl? Like,
Nah, because they have a few American guests too, and they're all experts. England's NFL's pretty big in England now. They even play games here, so it's pretty,
it's not like there's one big beefy guy with the headset on. Hey Cam, look at that pass, and then it goes over. Well, I must say, that was a very enthusiastic run.
Some guy in a bow tie and a bowler hat. No, it's not like that.
Just come out of an English gentleman's club straight into the studio.
I'll tell you what I hate. I hate the Super Bowl halftime show.
Yeah.
Not just because more and more the acts I have absolutely no interest in.
Yes.
But also, it's just such a long waste of time when you want to watch this game in the middle of the night. This year, seriously, halftime in the Super Bowl, I turned off the game and watched an episode of Breaking Bad.
Wow.
And then so my halftime Super Bowl show was an episode of Breaking Bad, and then I watched the second half.
Who played this time? Who was the artist?
The Weeknd.
The Weeknd. I know the name of that band because they took the vowels out of their name, don't they? But I don't think I know any Weeknd songs.
I think they do that one that everyone was TikToking to at some stage.
I don't know, man. That's taking me further away from my comfort zone of knowledge, not closer.
So that's our review of this halftime Super Bowl show. Something about vowels and the TikTok.
The Weeknd, are they that big a band that they played the Super Bowl? Wow.
I don't know. They probably are big. To me, it feels like those celebrity TV shows, though, where they can't get good celebrities. So it's like real B-listers, D-listers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they usually put a few of them on, though. If they don't get someone big, like, Prince or Bruce Springsteen, they usually sort of gather 2 or 3 together. This was just The Weeknd on their own, was it?
I think so.
Wow.
Maybe it was a big reunion show and they reunited them with their vowels.
We have E-O-A.
Oh, yeah, amazing. It's an E.
Run on like your little vitamin friends.
Oh, I'm vitamin B. Oh, so if you're feeling low, no energy, look for our famous group. Oh, called the Vitamin B's.
I'm vitamin C. I fight colds and diseases. I never have a chance when you take a lot of measles.
Hang on, I'm just Googling because I don't trust you. The Weeknd. Oh, yeah, The Weeknd's full halftime show.
What do you mean you don't trust me?
Well, because you said you didn't watch it, so I'm just imagining surely someone else must have performed with The Weeknd, like The Weeknd plus
Shirley Bassey.
Shirley Bassey. But
Oh, did she die? Did Shirley Bassey die?
I don't know. She would have been better than The Weeknd, surely.
Let me check if Shirley Bassey died. No, Shirley Bassey's... I don't know what's worse, the fact that she's still alive and I've just totally dissed her. It's not good for your career when people say, "Are they still alive?"
It's not bad though when we're more comfortable with Shirley Bassey than we are with The Weeknd. It's like,
Shirley Bassey banging out Goldfinger or something at the Super Bowl.
I know, but she did that in the 60s. Like she was sort of a a legend act when we were the same age as the people that now currently enjoy The Weeknd. Like it's not.
At least Shirley Bassey's got a bunch of E's in her name.
Yeah, well, that's right. She's not giving up the vowels.
Does The Weeknd have the E's after the W? Are they just missing the one E, or are they missing all their E's?
No, they're just missing that third E.
Yeah.
They obviously thought 3 was too many, so it is weakened. Weakened?
They're weakened, but also because they're called they have got another E there, so they actually have more E's than Shirley Bassey, even after dropping one of their E's.
Dropping E's, very good.
You got to hand it to The Weeknd.
The Weeknd. They just basically thought 4 was too many.
Yeah.
The Weekends. Basically, your name is half E's unless we get rid of some of them. We need to drop some.
They were E heavy. Yeah.
that fourth E is the Stu Sutcliffe of the of the E's. Gets dropped out of the Beatles.
Yeah. Oh, that E went on to have a huge solo career though.
That's right. That E is off like Robbie Williams. Just that E's playing the Super Bowl by itself next year. I think.
Yeah. Nice.
Did you explain why? I mean, it's Tom Brady. Some people may have no clue about NFL. And even
if we have to explain who Tom Brady is to someone, but they're probably so far behind that we shouldn't bother. And also, isn't it kind of late to now be clarifying that point?
Yes, I know.
That was 20 minutes ago. What are you doing? Has that just been on your mind since I briefly mentioned the fact there were lots of tweets about Brady?
It's a footnote. But people, if you're going, okay, so Tom Brady is a good player in the NFL. Now, go back and listen to the banter again, and it will be even funnier.
Oh, God. What a debacle this episode is. And this is without people hearing all the times your headphones have failed over the last 10 minutes.
That's right. It's good.
If you could hear how this episode has been going in reality without editing, this episode's turning into a weekend halftime Super Bowl show.
That's right.
Look, I tell you what we do really well though, even better than the Super Bowl, and that's our ads.
Yes.
So why don't we do our sponsor message now?
If there was something that I could put up in the halftime show, it would be an endorsement of Storyblocks. I'm just putting it out there. I'm very, very grateful for Storyblocks.
Let me say, what I've got planned for this Storyblocks message is even better than a Super Bowl halftime ad. I've got something very special planned. But first of all, let me very quickly tell people what Storyblocks is. It's an online library of stock video footage. They also have audio and images, and you pay a monthly subscription fee, and you can use all this stuff in your own creations, whether it's videos and websites and podcasts and anything else you can think of. You've got access to it all. And no joke, just quickly, Storyblocks has become like an essential part of my day-to-day working. It's become like Photoshop or my editing software or Wikipedia for checking stuff. I go to Storyblocks all the time to get videos and sounds and images and things I need for my own creations. So I'm very, very happy to endorse them. Now, Tim.
Yes.
I have made a little something special for this ad. You may remember a few episodes ago, I made a little video that I called the A to Z of Storyblocks, and I showed you 26 little short clips of a few seconds, and you had to guess what each one was, starting with that letter.
Yes.
It was very good fun, wasn't it?
It was.
I have made another one, and this one is called Around the World with Storyblocks. And Tim, I'm going to show you a video clip with 20 short little clips, about 4 seconds or so each.
Yes.
And in those 4 seconds, you have to look at this video, which has been taken from the Storyblocks library.
Yes.
And in that few seconds, you have to tell me what country we are in.
Oh.
And we're going to be zooming all around the world to all sorts of different countries.
Nice. I like this idea. This is good. All right.
Now, people who are listening, you have a few options at this point. You can stop and watch the video on its own. I'll put a link in the notes and see how many of the 20 you get right. If you're watching on YouTube, you can play along with Tim live, or you can do neither and you can just listen to Tim play through audio. But the idea is I wanted to show Tim just how amazing all the Storyblocks library stuff is. So, Tim, I'm going to send you the link.
Yeah, all right. Text it maybe.
Tell me when you've got it all loaded up.
All right. I'm ready to press play.
All right, on the 20 countries. Here we go. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
All right. That's a kangaroo. That's Australia right there.
Correct.
Look at those beautiful gum trees. Oh, windmills, Holland. Lovely, beautiful photo of Holland there as well. This looks like Greece. A lot of that white buildings. Is that the Seattle Needle, or is that? This is Sao Paulo. Is that right, in South America? This looks like somewhere like, oh gosh, somewhere in the Pacific. That's Jerusalem.
Countries.
With the Dome of the Rock. Beautiful. This looks like Moscow. Am I saying countries or cities?
Countries, yes, countries.
Oh, very good. Yes, well, London in England. There we go. That's beautiful. The lovely Tower Bridge. This looks like Scotland, but I could be wrong, or Ireland. Now where is this building? I can't remember. I can't remember. This looks like Harisha. This looks like Japan. This looks like India. Very good. This looks like Italy, Rome.
Yeah.
This is another one of those tall spire things. I have no idea where that is. I have no idea where this is either. This could be anywhere. That's Niagara Falls. So that takes us into the US or Canada? Oh, this is America now. So the other one must be Canada. Is that right? Niagara Falls. Yeah, very good. Okay. This is, one of the African countries. Let's say South Africa. Paris. That's the Louvre in France.
Right.
Oh, that's 20. Oh, phew. That's very, very fast.
That did seem to go by fast, didn't it?
Goodness gracious me.
Wow.
Like fast money. Yes.
I think I made that harder than I realised.
Goodness gracious.
I thought you would score slightly higher than that.
Oh, well, thanks very much, man.
I don't know what to say.
Am I right in saying that Niagara Falls is it close to the border of the US? I've never been there. And Canada,
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, Niagara Falls is on the border between Canada and the US, and you can look at it from the American side and the Canadian side. But the really classic view of the horseshoe part of the falls is you stand in Canada to look at that.
Right.
But the view from America is okay too, but you can't see that real famous part where the Maid of the Mist goes down into the horseshoe. That's the Canadian view. But what a testament to the lovely footage you can get on Storyblocks.
It was beautiful footage. Yes.
It was.
Yes.
And it made me pine for being able to travel again, which I can only do via Storyblocks at the moment.
Yes.
So.
Did you notice there was a couple of times where I went, oh, that's a nice picture of the Netherlands. Oh, look at that. It's like,
yeah,
it's like,
it was a bit of escapism. Storyblocks.com/unmade. If you seriously, you should be considering signing up to Storyblocks if you do anything at all creative in your work, especially because it's so useful. And use that /unmade so Storyblocks know you came from here. You pay 1 monthly fee, all that stuff royalty free, including all that amazing international footage that we just showcased, and some of which Tim recognised. What did you get? I reckon you got 10. I don't know. I kind of lost count.
no, there was more than 10, surely. 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 Let's go back. Okay. 1, 2, 3. No. 4, 5, 6. No. 7, 8. No. 9. No. 10. Very good. Just confirming it was 10. That's a classic piece of podcasting right there, man.
Storyblocks.com/unmade. No, 10.
If we ever release a greatest hits album, that bit will be on it. That's for sure.
Let's go to the one place where Tim always scores a 10 out of 10 in my book, and that is when he goes into the Hein family archive of classic spoons collected over many, many years, and he plucks one for a moment of glory in a little segment that we like to call Spoon of the
Week. I'm here just for that. I love it. Hang on, let me get into character. Well, Brady, this week's spoon is somewhat different again. I've held on to this one for quite a while. I discovered it early and put it to the side. It's quite unique, and so I've decided today's the day when I really don't know what to say about it. It's sort of a less of a spoon and more of a horse, really. It's, I mean, technically speaking, it is still a spoon, but it's shaped like a golden horse. This spoon is commemorating the winner of the 1982 Melbourne Cup, which is a very famous horse race here in Australia, and I think is quite well known in the horse world around the world, isn't it?
It's well known in the horse world around the world, yes. Horses
in other countries have heard of it too.
It is. It's one of the big races of the world. It's like, the Kentucky Derby and the Grand National and that. It's Australia's big horse race. A lot of money. Horses come from around the world to race in it. You can call it a big one, the Melbourne Cup.
All right, there we go. Yeah. My knowledge of racing, as will be apparent in this episode of Spoon of the Week, is up there with my knowledge of the weekend. Minus
or your knowledge of spoons, for that matter.
That's right. Thankfully, I'm a real buff on global cities, so that's great. This spoon has a horse's head at the top with the Melbourne Cup trophy together, and then it says here Gurner's Lane, which certainly sounds like one of those funny horse names. One can only assume that is the winner of the Melbourne Cup.
And here's Gurner's Lane driving through on the inside. The Kingston's in front, but Gurner's Lane is going to him. Gurner's Lane after Kingston Town. Gurner's Lane goes home too well and beats Kingston Town. Noble Comment ran third in the Cup.
1982, and then it comes down to a slimmer stem. It's a smaller spoon than most, and then quite a small scoopy bit down the bottom. The interesting thing on the back of this solid gold spoon is it says trainer G. Murphy and jockey L. Dittman. I imagine that's the trainer and the jockey for the horse Gurner's Lane. That's a pretty easy conclusion to make there. And it goes on and says where it was produced, but that's too small for me to see. Oh, yeah, no, made in Australia. There we go. Nice.
Jeff Murphy was the trainer of Gurners Lane. 1982 was a huge year for Gurners Lane because Gurners Lane not only won the Melbourne Cup but also the Caulfield Cup that year, which is the second biggest race probably in Australia. Winning the Caulfield and the Melbourne Cup double is quite an accomplishment.
A couple of things to say about this, because I know your next question is, how did this come into the Hein estate? Look, my parents, we've never been into horse racing, and it's always been something that's kind of frowned on a little bit, the gambling side and all the rest of it. And although we do love horses, my mum grew up with horses, and you've heard her speak about that on previous episodes with great passion.
Would you say chickens are your favourite animal on the farm? What's your favourite farm animal?
Oh, horse.
Horse?
Oh, yes.
Why?
I used to ride.
But the thing is, growing up in Australia, don't you agree, man? It's such a significant event. It's like the Super Bowl in America. You don't watch football or follow it, but you probably sit down and watch the Super Bowl, or at least the Super Bowl's on. That's for sure.
They call the Melbourne Cup the race that stops the nation.
Indeed. So a lot of people in their workplaces, the workplace stops and they run like a betting system or something like that. It's interesting, there's a bit of a backlash against that here now and about the racing industry because of the way that horses have been treated. But back in 1982, none of that was of any particular concern to anyone. So whoever plucked Gurners Lane had a good day.
Yeah, and you've got the spoon to commemorate it.
Yes. I don't think this implies that my parents owned Gurners Lane or had bet on Gurners Lane and then went out and bought this solid gold spoon. I have no idea how this came into their possession whatsoever.
Yeah.
I know later in life my dad loved to go to sort of a retirement home nearby, not for himself, but to spend time and entertain and, play bowls and muck around with people, who were often younger than himself in this retirement home. And he would pray for them and spend time with them and was generally just a really good sort of volunteer in that regard. And I know on Melbourne Cup Day, they used to get dressed up and make a real feature of it and watch the race. So Dad kind of
they'll dress up as horses or something. Or...
just ride each other around the hallways, I think.
It's a striking spoon with that horse's head at the top. I wonder if they just chose, there's a little golden horse's head at the top with a little cup, a little replica of the Melbourne Cup, and then it says Gurners Lane Melbourne Cup 1982 underneath. Do you think that is just a generic horse, or they modelled that on Gurners Lane?
Oh.
Himself?
I don't know. The thing is, I'm not familiar enough with other horses in the race to know if there was any distinguishing marks.
Can you name one other horse in the race?
Then Meister Avon, Bianco, Lady Wellington Road, LA Bijou, Port Carling, Astral in Amaranth. Then Barmax followed by Dealer's Choice, Toha, Silver Bounty, Triumphal March. Then Dry Wine from Carringbush, and then came in behind them Just a Dash. A gross failure from Magistrate, Brewery Boy well back in company with Rose and Thistle and Mr. Digby.
Do you know what I find interesting? Gurners Lane won the Melbourne Cup in 1982 when he was 4 years old. He died in 2000.
Golly.
So all that time, and he was a gelding. So I don't think he was being. There's no reason to keep a gelding for, siring purposes.
Yeah.
So, I wonder they probably just kept him as like a family pet just because he won the Melbourne Cup back in the day.
Well, you would, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you want to keep on the horse and be grateful for it and pat it? Yeah, that's marvelous.
I wonder if he was like, he went to town on that Melbourne Cup win for years later, like you with your swimming carnival medal, when he was just an old horse limping around the paddock, I won the Melbourne Cup back in the day.
That's right. They've made spoons about me. Be like, what's the other horses? What's a spoon? It's like, I'll show you, but I can't pick it up.
I tell you who can pick up a spoon, Tim, and that is the Patreon supporter who is about to win one of our Unmade podcast commemorative spoons.
Oh, yes?
How would you like to randomly choose today's Patreon winner?
I think I'll just spin the wheel. Here we go.
All right.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. And the winner is Nick from Belgium.
Nice.
Nick from Belgium. You have got an Unmade podcast spoon coming your way.
Oh,
Watch the post box like a hawk. Watch it like a gelding horse from the 1980s.
can I ask, if you had a horse and you were putting it in to race, what funny horse name would you give your horse?
Oh, Heidi Hein?
Heidi. I love how a lot of these horses have like a stable name, the name they actually call them, like Old Jack or something, and then they've got their racing name that they're called out there. And you know what I mean? They've sort of got their show name, like Elton John, but back home, they've just got their normal name, which is what they patented.
Well, Lulu was like that. Our dog Lulu was a retired racing greyhound. She raced as Delicate Girl.
Oh, did you ever call her Delicate Girl around the house, or
not so much? But we knew it was her like racing name. But we didn't like to talk about those sad days.
What if we all had like real names and then like racing names that we took out like to work?
Racing names.
Yeah.
What would you have? Like a preaching name?
Like a special preaching name. That's right.
Yeah.
Let's go. Dufflecoat Supreme. There we go.
Yeah.
It's going to preach.
Well, didn't Jesus, when he appointed his 12 apostles, change some of their names? Like he gave them like racing names, didn't he?
He did. That's very good. Yes, Simon, he says, I'm going to call you Peter, which means the rock, because I'm going to build my church on you. That's nice, yeah.
What was wrong with Simon though? Couldn't he keep his name?
You can't build a church on someone called Simon. I mean,
fair enough.
Come on, really? I mean, it's like, may as well been trying to build a church on someone called Gurner's Lane. It's just not going to work.
Yeah, fair enough.
Peter's a name. Yes, that's the way to do it.
Peter, that's much better. But the name of the day today is Nick. Nick from Belgium, spoon coming your way.
I like the name Nick. Nice work, Nick. I wonder if he's a Nicholas. If anyone calls him Nicholas and Nick is just his unmade patron name.
It's his listening name.
His listening name. That's his listening
Maybe everyone out there should have a listening name.
A listening name. Tell us in the Reddit and on Twitter, what would your listening name be? What do you call yourself when you're listening to the Unmade podcast?
Yeah.
Here's a hint. Go with the name your parents would have called you if you were born a different gender. That's a good place to start.
That's a good start. All right, Tim, what have you got? Have you got a podcast idea?
Well, mine's not a patron idea, but it is from a very keen young follower, I have to say, who slipped this idea to me at dinner the other night. And I thought it was strong enough an idea to share with you. You can tell me if you think this resonates.
Were you having dinner with a listener?
I was, yes. Most of Adelaide listens to the Unmade podcast.
That's like the ultimate Patreon perk.
Well, he was a very special listener. His name is Micah.
Yeah.
And I tell you, he's a very discerning listener.
Has Micah got a favourite host?
Let's not go there.
Right.
I was talking to my daughters yesterday, and they were, one of them thought that a new episode had dropped into the phone, and so another episode, and oh no, hang on, it's just something else and whatever. And I said, oh, they're really. So they got talking about how they liked the podcast and how they got into it, and I sort of said, look, I notice you girls, you really get excited about the podcast, but I've got a whole lot of sermons and a few lectures and things online. I don't see you racing around to listen to them. And they both burst out laughing, right?
Yeah.
And I said, what's the difference between Dad on the podcast and Dad? And one of them, the elder, said, okay, for one, Brady's not in the other ones. And I was like, all right, that's enough. Clear the table. Conversation over. That's it.
You know what the take home from that is? You need me up on the stage with you when you're preaching.
Oh, look, I think that would be gold. I'd be up for that. I think that's fantastic. Yep. That's gold. So I don't know what who his favorite host is, but based on that story, I think I can hazard a guess. But he has a very good name. I tell you, he's better at naming things than I am. The name is Mother Hubbard's Cupboard,
right?
Which is very good.
Last name.
And his idea is about having 3 particular ingredients and what you would be able to make from just 3 ingredients, basically a go-to meal. with just 3 ingredients each time that are chosen for you and what you would do with them and how you would vary it and something like that. Now, I've probably explained that far worse. It probably would have been better if Micah had come on himself, which I... just another in a long line of alternative hosts.
So, Tim, I'm not sure I'm completely understanding. Do you, as the guest, choose the ingredients, or are they dictated to you when you come on the show and you've got to improvise a meal from the ingredients? Because 3's not many.
It's not many, but I think you get a few staple items, you know, like, okay, butter and, you know, stuff like that can sort of facilitate the cooking. But then you're given maybe 3 major primary ingredients and you have to take it from there and do something with it.
Because I just lately have gotten into, with my wife, ordering, you know, those boxes where they send you loads of ingredients and recipes and you like make your meal every night from the box that's been sent to you. Because neither of us have ever really been too big on like cooking.
Yeah, they're cool, yeah.
I'm not like pretending to be Moses coming down from the mountain here with all these amazing recipes, but I've been sort of learning a lot about how cooking works now. It's all quite new to me, a lot of it, and what goes into making a meal from scratch. And the one thing I've really been learning is there are actually quite a lot of ingredients in most meals.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering whether or not, like, because I know Micah's a younger lad, and I don't know how much he actually cooks. Maybe he's underselling it with 3, and he's making a rod for our backs here.
Well, I wonder whether you're given license to then garnish at will. You know, like, okay, you've got these 3, you've got to do something. What would you do it with then? And that's where you bring your panache and your extra ingredients and so forth. He's a very clever boy, very clever young man, I should say, and I think he's got a good understanding of the, you know, quite a diverse pantry. He's able to do a bit of work with it, probably better than myself. Yeah. Certainly better than yourself, it sounds. Yeah. And so I wonder if that's the sort of thing he has in mind. He could actually bring a bit of style and panache. And on the podcast, you'd be explaining, well, I do this with it, and I'm doing this with it. I think I like the idea of you doing it at the time, and it can be edited down so there's not too much clanging and whatnot, but just enough to say, I'm putting this in and I'm doing that. And people who are really into food and into cooking would find that particularly interesting. That's what they would do with this.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, and this is not something I often fall for when I'm talking about ideas on the Unmade podcast, but I'm going to go out here and say it. Micah has come up with a really good idea for a YouTube channel or a TV show.
Right.
And I think this is less strong as a podcast because I think especially when it comes to cooking, you want to see how it's done and see what's being done. I would love to watch Micah's YouTube channel if he did this with 3 ingredients each week and came up with some clever way to combine them. And I think it's less of an audio experience. Don't get me wrong, Micah. It's still better than pretty much every idea Tim and I have ever had on the Unmade podcast. but I'd rather see it as a video.
None of which would be worthy of a YouTube channel.
No.
I'm almost certain that I will catch up next time I see Micah and he will explain firstly, how poorly I explained the idea, but then also that I presented the idea incorrectly, not just poorly articulated. It's like, no, it's 4 ingredients or something like that. Yeah. I'm sure I'm getting it wrong, but I tell you, I thought it was a very ingenious idea. He's a very devoted follower of the podcast.
He sounds like a clever lad. In fact, I think the only mistake he made was getting you to pitch his idea rather than me.
That's true. I think that's true. Very good. That's good.
Can I say, as we come to the end of the episode, Tim, like, hopefully the people listening are not going to realise this, but what an absolute debacle that was technically.
Oh, gosh. I've got wires here and I've got computer screens and
kept dropping out, the call kept failing. I knew that the writing was on the wall because you had all the problems before we even started. You were running late. There was this and that. I presume you've forgotten the words from your daughters.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's not a surprise.
Look, yep. Let's just keep talking for a little.
I'll tell you where you should have dropped them if you tell me what they were.
All right. It's from only one because the other one was still asleep when I left this morning. Sewing machine.
Sewing machine. It would have been funny if the word she asked you to drop was Panama and you didn't use it during the countries quiz.
That is great. Yes, yes.
Sewing machine. No, fair enough. There was no super obvious place to drop that.
It could have been the name of a horse that I talked about, you know, in terms of a funny, what horse name would you have? And I could, like, sewing machine. That's a great name for a horse.
You could have said your Super Bowl commercial would have been for a sewing machine.
Yes. You don't see many ads for sewing machines, do you? It's not a big, high marketed feature on television, that's for sure.
Well, sewing machines a big part of your childhood. My mum was a big sewing machine user. She was a sewing machine Jedi.
Yes, yes. She was a sewing machine. That's right.
Yeah.
My mum too. Yeah. Very handy on it. Very handy on it.
And then my mum got one of those overlockers, which to me was just like a more posh sewing machine because it did these other things. And that looked like the space shuttle, all the dials and stuff it had on it. It was amazing. Have you seen an overlocker?
I saw them at other parents' homes, like other kids' homes whose parents had them, and they did. They looked like a real mystery. It was like when people started getting home computers. You're like, oh, wow, look at that. I don't know what to do with that. Yeah, an overlocker was just some sort of analog computer that was there.
It was like a sort of Goonies Rube Goldberg machine type thing with threads going everywhere and very impressive.
I never saw them being used, though. I wonder if an overlocker's ever been used. They're just forever sitting there like a sacred item in the corner of the lounge.
My mum's got used. It was decided it was needed. I can't go on without an overlocker.
Did your mum make clothes for you?
Not for me. She made a lot for herself, but she didn't make clothes for me. Did yours?
Early on, there were a lot of jumpers knitted, which is kind of cool. Until it's not cool anymore.
Yeah.
And then the jumpers get transitioned to the teddy bears.
It would be cool again now if you could get your mum back into knitting jumpers for you. Turning up to like church on Sunday in a jumper knitted by your mum would be kind of awesome.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah, yeah.
Maybe we should get your mum knitting Unmade podcast jumpers for our merch store.
That's a brilliant idea. That's wonderful. That's great.
We'll pay her $3 an hour.
She does make quilts now. We have some lovely quilts that she's made, and we have them around the house. And they're quite special because she has this special tag underneath where she writes, made by, at this date at this time for this person. They're very personal, and I like that.
Would she make us an Unmade podcast quilt?
Maybe. I'll put in the request. I mean, she could say, no, I don't have an overlocker, in which case...
If I buy her an overlocker, will she do it?
Maybe. Maybe we should sell unmade overlockers. Just huge pieces of machinery, shipping them around the world.
That would top any piece of merch that I've ever concocted for any project. Having bespoke overlockers.
We're contacting a company. We thought we were getting complex with the spoon, but an overlocker.
We'll have to get a Kickstarter going for that. I'm going to engineer overlockers.
Bring them back. I think they're great.
All right, get on to your mum. I want a quilt by my birthday in June.
She's taken a lot of time with them in the past, but I think for you, should get onto it. I think she'd be on a mission. I think that's a brilliant idea. Yeah.
So we've got to get like the Unmade podcast colours, which are the white, black, and kind of that tealy green that we use. I don't know exactly what's going to go on it yet, but we'll talk about that.
Yep, it'll be. It's a good idea. I think should be honoured, and you'd obviously be honoured too to receive one. That'd be great.
Oh yeah, gosh.
Are you there?
I'm here. Yep.
Oh, let's keep going. This is going to suck.